All right, so you've crocheted before.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. Okay, and so what do you know?
Then you start with the slip knot.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure I could do the basic chain, and if I like reviewed it, I could probably do like the basic
stitches and things. Awesome.
So I haven't done it in a while.
How long has it been?
A year, maybe.
About a year. Okay. Well, the nice thing about it is once you've done it once, it comes back easier the second time. If you want to go ahead and pull your yarn out, let's see. Oh, I like the purple too.
Yeah.
Right, where does it start?
There we go.
Awesome. Okay, so just to review, I'm sure you kind of already know about it, but depending on the size of the hook depends how big the stitch is. So if you're using a bigger hook, the stitches tend to be bigger, and it also depends on the type of yarn you use. So I'm actually crocheting a blanket right now, and the yarn is about that thick, and so I have to use a bigger hook because the smaller hooks just don't work as well. So looking at the string you have, what size hook do you think would work best?
Probably one of the smaller ones.
One of the smaller ones. So I agree with you. I would probably use the 5mm one, and I have two of them, so we can both use it that way. It's the same, so when I'm showing you something, your stitch, if it ends up looking bigger, like, it won't happen, really. But, what color did you want?
I'll take gold.
Nice. Okay, so let's do the slip knot. Go ahead and tie a slip knot in your yarn.
Wait 1 second. I haven't done a slip knot in a long time.
Do you want me to review it with you?
I think
or actually, let's see if you can do it first. See, you totally got it. Okay, and then, so you know it's a slip knot, you can pull it, make it bigger, smaller. So what we're going to do, go ahead and put your hook in. Normally, so how you can tell that your loop is big enough is when it will slide easily over the kind of the oblong shape part of the hook. So if it slides over easily or too easily, it's too loose, and if it's too tight, it won't move. Okay, so we'll just do that. And so you said you've done the chain stitch before. Can you show me a couple?
Let's see.
Oh, and you already know the hand thing too. Perfect. Okay, so awesome. And then I was looking at this. So you have a loop at the bottom.
Oh.
And I'm trying to see. Show me how you hold the string when you wrap it around your hand.
So like this.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that might be why. So what you want to do when you're wrapping it around your hand, you're going to wrap it around your pinky.
So like this.
Yes, and you're going to bring it across your two fingers here and around the back of your pointer. And then you're going to pinch it with your thumb and middle.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually when you pinch it, you're going to hold it down at the base of the knot.
So here?
Mm-hmm. So right here. So you're going to hold it there. So that also helps make sure you get your knot or your loop doesn't get too loose. So let's try that one more time. So we're going to go around the pinky, across the two fingers, around the back. Perfect. And then pinch it at the base of the loop. Perfect. And then when you go to do a chain stitch, there. Yeah. So I feel like beforehand, I don't know if the string got caught But normally there shouldn't be a loop at the bottom. But you have the chain stitch down. That's awesome. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good.
Yeah? I mean, that's pretty good for remembering it after a year. All right, let's see. Perfect. So what I want you to do, go ahead and, because you did undo it, go ahead and do 5 chain stitches.
Okay. I think I can figure out how to get rid of that weird thing. So around the pinky.
Around the pinky.
Into the base. So do you just want to keep it like loose, tight?
So you want to keep it a little tight, not too tight, otherwise when you get further down when you crochet, your knots end up being way too tight and it's hard to get your hook through them. So you want it to be a little loose, but not too tight. Enough so if it's loose, let's see, let's do it this way. Your knot is going to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's a little tighter, let me try this again. It's going to look more like that. So it just makes the stitches a little closer together rather than bigger. It makes everything look more even. So that looks like the perfect, what's the word, strength. Slack of the string. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so you did the 5 stitches,
Mm-hmm.
or the chain. So you already know that. So what we're going to do next, I'm going to teach you how to do the single stitch.
Okay.
And it's the most basic stitch, really, of all of them. And what's nice is the hot pad that we're going to create only uses the chain and the single stitch. And there's nothing else. So that's partly why I like it so much. You can choose to do other stitches with it, but the stitches get a little more complicated, and it's just a little longer, but the single stitch works great. So why do something more difficult or more involved? So what we're going to do, you're going to hold with your middle finger and your thumb, you're going to hold the knot at the end of the chain. So, perfect. And so what we're going to do, you're going to take your hook, make sure the hook side is facing you, and you're going to go around the front, and you're going to go through that top part of the chain stitch.
Wait, so this one?
Not that one, because that's where the string is coming through. You're going to do this one.
This one.
Yes. And what you want to do is you want to point it in a way so the point of the hook is going through it.
So like the head of the hook?
The head of the hook, exactly. And it goes in easier that way, yeah. So once that's in, then your hook is going to go behind the string.
Behind the string?
Mm-hmm. And you're going to turn the hook so it faces down, and you're going to pull it through.
One.
Just the first loop, yeah.
Okay.
And this time, now you're going to go around the front and bring it behind.
So then you go...
Yes, yeah. So you're going to go that, back behind, and turn it down.
And then do you do...
And bring it through both.
Bring it through both.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so that's the single stitch. So we're just going to do a couple more to practice.
So head through the loop.
Head through the loop.
Go back through one, and then normal through
and then
two.
normal through 2.
Okay.
Exactly. Now I'm going to watch you do it again because I was doing it with you.
Okay, so back through.
Mm-hmm.
Go once.
Perfect.
Go again.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's all it is. So what you can see, so your chain stitch is just that, and then your single stitch will look more like that. And so what's nice about this is you're just going to keep doing that. There's nothing else. So you're just going to do that same stitch over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and just pull it all through. So you're back at your slip knot.
Okay.
So we're going to start working on the hot pad. Because we reviewed the chain stitch, the single stitch, and it looks like you have it down. I mean, I feel like you've probably done that one before without kind of knowing what the stitch was called.
Mm-hmm.
So for the hot pad, it depends how long your chain is, determines how big your hot pad is.
Okay.
So if you want a bigger hot pad, you're going to do a longer chain. For the sake of time, I would probably try about, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Probably about 20 chain stitches.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Perfect. I didn't know you were left-handed, by the way. That's way cool. Another thing you can do to make sure that this doesn't stay tight is I usually run it down the bottom, and it will make it a little bigger.
Okay, yeah. And then I keep on, like, when I'm coming back, I'll, like, pull it, and then I'll either let out too much or, like, not. I'll let out too much.
What helps, too, is actually if you unroll it a little more, so it's loose,
So
it slides easier, and it doesn't get stuck.
Okay. I have, like, a really big stitch, so I think I'm gonna...
And that's the nice thing about crocheting, too. You can just pull it out, and it's really easy to fix.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Perfect.
So that's 20.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Okay, so I'm doing this purposely smaller just because for the sake of time, but then it helps give you some practice and what to do when you want it bigger.
Okay.
So kind of working with a smaller one first and then moving to a bigger one. So once you have your 20, you're going to hold, perfect. You're going to go to this loop right after.
So this one?
Yes. And we're going to do the single stitch. So we're going to go through it. Going to pull the string through one and then the normal through both. Perfect.
Okay.
And then we're going to do that with the next one. And we're going to do that all the way across the chain.
I think I should have made this a little bit bigger, but that's okay.
Did you want to use mine?
Did
you want to use this? It's a little looser. And then, yeah. Because I've worked with tight stitches before.
So do you go through, so I've already gone through that one, so go to the next one, right?
Yeah, so actually, yes, so now you're going to go to this one right here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I love this color, by the way. Do you have any questions?
I think I got it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just one really fast. So is it this stitch or the next?
Yeah, so what helps me is when I see a string going down into it, I know that's my next one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Your chain stitches on this one, by the way, are very good.
Thank you.
They're all even, too. It's awesome. How is it doing it left-handed?
It makes, when you start to learn, it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But after you get going, it's pretty easy.
Okay.
I had a crocheting lesson for one of my dad's classes, and
Oh,
it
really?
was like for another one, and it was pretty crazy because she didn't really know how to do it left-handed. And I hadn't done it very much, so I didn't really know how to go with the flow. And so she didn't really know how to teach it left-handed, so it was kind of weird because I was trying to do what she was doing, but it was backwards.
Oh,
so
no.
It was a little bit weird, but I've gotten pretty good at it now that I can mirror stuff pretty easily.
Yeah.
That happens with a lot of things, though, because, like, I play sports, and sports, when you're doing, like, I play volleyball, so we're doing, like, hitting. And everybody's supposed to drop their pinky, but I drop my thumb when they drop their pinky. And so I just just like for the angle of the ball, like when you're hitting certain things. So it's a little weird sometimes, and sometimes I have to like think about it, and I'm like, okay, I do this backwards, left, and then like sometimes it'll be like left, right, and I'm like right, left, left.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I would get really confused.
Sometimes when we're like doing something new and I'm like, okay, I gotta do the backwards, I gotta do the opposite of what she tells me to do.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but I've gotten pretty used to it now after a while.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I think was when I played basketball, I learned to dribble right-handed, but I shoot left-handed.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And so when we were doing layups, I'd dribble with my left hand and then try to shoot with... I'd dribble with my right hand and try to shoot with my left hand, and it made it really weird.
Oh, no.
And then when I dribble with my right hand and then shoot with my left hand for the other layups. So that was, like, a little weird. My coach was like, wait, really? Like, you do that? And I was like, yeah. And he, like, did a couple for him, and he was like, oh, I've never heard of this before, but...
That's awesome. Yeah. What you can do, try bringing these down over it.
Okay.
And then just slide it back up, and then just leave the string slack. There you go. Yes.
There.
Perfect. Awesome. All right, so are you ready for the circle?
Do I have one more or no?
Oh, yes, you do have one more.
Okay.
Good call. I did not see that.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, so you ready for the secret?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're just going to keep going. So you're going to bring it back this way. And you're just going to keep doing that same stitch all along that side. And you're going to go around in a circle.
Right.
To the point, so I did a really, really small one. So where you kind of get you get a boat shape. And what happens is when it's bigger and the longer it gets, the sides start to fold in.
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah. So you end up with that double thickness, but really you're just going around in a circle and it just folds in.
So you go up like this. And then
So you're just going to hold it, you're going to do it that way. And then you're just going to go in with this very next stitch that you see.
Okay.
Yep. And that's actually partly why I suggested using mine, just because the stitches are looser, because normally when it's on the bottom from the chain, they end up being tight anyways.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that's the nice thing about this. It's just it's simple, but then you get a good product out of it too.
Nice. Something you can just like do when you're bored and just do it. And you can like multitask too when you do it.
Not gonna lie, I do it while I watch Netflix, so I don't feel like I'm totally wasting time. I've been productive. I've been crocheting. And then when you get to the other side, go ahead and stop.
Okay.
That way we can compare, and so you can kind of see
how it's going.
Yes. So at the beginning of this, how were you feeling about it? And now that you're kind of in the middle of it.
Well, at first I was a little bit nervous because I was like, well, I've done crochet a little bit, but I haven't done it in a really long time. And so I was like, that once I started, I was like, oh, this is familiar. We did it, I think, for an activity once.
Okay.
And I got super into it, and we had this yarn thing, and I crocheted this huge long chain that would fit around the house, and we
That's
walked outside
awesome.
and did that, and that was fun. And I was like in a crocheting phase. And then my sister learned how to crochet like on her fingers.
My mom does that. I've never figured it out. I've always just used the hook.
She just is like used it as that, and then she just use your fingers, and then she would finger crochet little yarn things.
That's so cool. My grandma taught me.
Cool.
Yeah, when I was younger. So actually, probably when I was 7 or 9, because it wasn't. Yeah, I was either 7 or 9. And my grandma gave me this little coupon for my birthday to spend 3 days with her. And she would just teach me how to crochet, and I got to hang out with her.
That's fun.
It was awesome. And so we spent several days just kind of learning how to crochet and what the stitches were. And before that, I think the reason why she did the coupons was because every time we went to her house, my grandma would be crocheting something. And she would always use the chain and would crochet a necklace or a bracelet, and I would ask her every time I came over. And she goes, you can just learn to make one. And then I think that's just when she taught me. But
that's cool.
I love this. It just reminds me of being with my grandma.
That's fun.
That's looking awesome.
Oops. What do I've got?
And then, yeah, go ahead and do one more.
Okay.
You're going to do it on this stitch right here.
Okay.
I know, on the end it's a little hard to see to begin with, and then it gets easier.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, so if you hold it out. So that's looking awesome. So you can tell when you're holding it up, this string might not do it as much, but it's already starting to curve on the sides. And so you're just going to keep going around in a circle, and you're just going to keep going around it.
Okay, so it just turned around.
Uh-huh. Yep, just keep working to the next stitch. Just going to go in a circle. And we'll probably go around one more time, and then I will let you do the rest on your free time.
Okay.
But I'll show you how to finish it, which is why I have a small one here.
Okay.
Unless you want to finish it here.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I was going to say. Did you want to go back to your yarn? Or did you want to keep using mine?
I think I might keep using it just for
No,
a
yeah,
second.
of course. I realized I'm like, oh yeah, I'm still using hers.
Okay, so I kind of got messed up on my stitches right here.
Let's see. It doesn't look like it. Where?
I was just wondering, where's the next?
Oh, okay.
Like, you kind of got. Are they just really tight? Or?
I think they're just really tight. So what I like to do, look at it from the sides. So you can see there's a loop here,
A loop there.
one there,
Okay.
and another one there. So kind of look at it from that side.
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
see.
What's helpful too, so with that string it's a little harder, but if you look at this one, you can see quite clearly where the next one is.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another thing, it could look a little different just because you are doing it left-handed, that this string is coming across
Mm-hmm.
from a different angle, I think. So that could be another reason why it might just look a little off.
You'll probably look better once you get a lot further.
Oh, it does. And the nice thing is, too, when you get to this point, you can actually flip it inside out. And the stitches sometimes look better on the opposite side. There's a way to hide the work. Awesome. So I know you've had experience with crocheting before, but when I first did it, my stitches were like not even.
Mine were not either. I just, but they still aren't even sometimes. But when I get like the string, I'll let the string go like really slack or really tight sometimes.
See, I let that happen right here.
But I like this grip.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It keeps it like the pinky finger like anchors it so it doesn't get too
Exactly.
It's too tight.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I know I keep saying
Oh,
it.
It's fun to relearn and learn a little extra about
Oh, yeah.
this again. It's fun. And
That's
I
awesome.
always can't remember
Go
to
ahead and go onto this one. Mm-hmm.
Wait, this?
Mhm.
Okay. There we go. That makes sense.
And then, yeah, and then the next one. So when you round it, there will be a tiny gap, but again, it's on the corner, so you won't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's just start right there. Cool.
Yeah, and then you just keep going. So this looks awesome. So I think there. Yeah, that looks really good. So let's compare. What do you see?
This one has like a rounded
Mhm.
edge, and this one's kind of square still.
It is. So what happens is when you go to this next one, it will round it more. So it's because we stopped right here. Normally when you only have the 2 stitches, it will look straight.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add the extra one, the more you go out, the more round the corners will be. And you just have to remember to keep going to the next stitch.
Each time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But your stitches look really even.
Thanks.
Looks really good. Perfect. All right, so you ready to learn how to finish it?
Mhm.
Okay. So, oh, look at that. And tie it again. So let me get just one more round on this. I did this one really small, just so I could have an example for you of how to finish one. Okay. Okay. So, looking at it, it's completely rounded. It's okay if one of the sides is longer, because again, you're going in a circle. There's really no, like on a rectangle, there's no stopping point. So, when you have it, you're going to lay it flat like this, and then you're just going to push the corners in. And so you end up with a little square.
Cool.
So what you do from there, do you see the little loops
Mm-hmm.
on the inside?
Yeah.
So what happens is, I should have brought scissors. I'm realizing I did this wrong. Actually, might not have to cut it. What you can do is you go down, you keep it folded, and you're going to go down to this stitch, and you're going to pull the string through both. And you're going to tie it through. And so what happens is, no, you actually do need to cut it. When you cut it, it will tie it, and then you go down to the next one, and you bring the string through that. And you're going to have a zigzag pattern, and it just closes.
Nice.
Gosh darn it, I wish I brought scissors. Could break it, maybe. So you're just going to pull it all the way through. So some people will use their fingers for this part, because I mean you can just pick it apart,
Pull it through.
and pull it through. I prefer using the hook because sometimes when I pick at it, the string frays, or the thread does. So I'm going to just do one more. So I'm going to put it through here and through the second one. And I'm going to wrap it and just pull it through. Oops, sorry. and see how it's tying.
Mm-hmm.
So did you want to try it now? So what you're going to do, we've already done it through this stitch. If you put the hook through this one, the one right below it, yes, and the next one, perfect. And we're going to wrap the string around. Go ahead and turn the hook face down and pull it through both. There we go. And then you're going to do that again for the next couple. We're going to go with, yeah, the next one. And then did you want to realize being very hands-on.
Oh wait, I forgot to pull it through on the last one.
That's okay. There you go. And we just have a couple more. Did you just want to finish it off? Perfect. There might be one more or two more. Yeah, that's the hard part. Sorry. Perfect. Okay, so see, you've tied it. And what happens is if you pull it out, you actually are really tight. That's awesome. If you pull it, you can see where the string has gone through. When it's bigger too, you can see it better.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you've come to that point, you're just going to take it and you're going to tie a knot.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll even do a bow just to add some artistic flair, but it's a hot pad, so...
You're like... That was not way out there. Okay.
That's all good. It happens all the time.
See, I think I can still save this one.
Perfect. And I think I got some scissors too. Once you do one, do a second one.
Okay.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do then, we're going to cut the string. You can leave this one. Go ahead and cut that one. Okay. Now, hop pads don't normally look like that. One, the size, but then they don't usually have strings hanging off of them. So what's nice is because we've made this really kind of 3D, because of the stitches, you can actually just take it. Put it over a hole and just push it down.
Oh.
And hide it inside. but then you push it down. So do you want to try pushing that one down?
Okay, so you just like...
You can just pick a hole closest. You could probably put it through right there. Yeah, so you want to get a good grip on it. What I like to do is if you put it over the hole and then just push the hook down into it. Sometimes it's a little difficult. Actually, that might be a good one right here on the side. Let's see. Oh no, you're good.
Okay, so do you just take it out?
The problem is with that bump, I think it might be a problem. Let's look at... Okay, this might be too small actually to stuff it in, just because the string is much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just cut it off. And voila, you have a tiny hot pad.
Cool. Miniature hot pad. Stitching looks really cool.
It does. Yeah. No, it looks really nice because when you're doing it, the stitches look really different, and then when it starts to fold in, they all look the same, depending on the side. So when you go home later, when you have free time, in your free time, you would just keep going around, and the sides would fold in, and you'd know when you can do the zigzag with the string to close it, because the edges are close together when they're folded in. But yeah, any other questions?
I don't think so. You
All right.
explained it really well.
Sweet.